Welcome back to TLC's Sister Wives News. I'm Helena, and today we're diving into the heartbreak, the boundaries, and the silence that says more than any tell-all ever could. Maddie Brown, Janelle's oldest daughter, has quietly but unmistakably shut the door on her father, not with headlines or drama, but with distance, with intention, and with protection. In her rare public comments, Maddie never names Cody directly, but she doesn't have to. Her words are sharp, clear, and deeply maternal. "You don't get to play family when it suits you," she wrote. "My children's peace is sacred, and I will protect it. Always. This isn't rebellion. It's not a tantrum from a neglected daughter. This is a grown woman, a mother, drawing a firm and painful boundary between her past and her future. And for those who have followed this family for years, it's become clear. Maddie isn't just rejecting Cody as a father. She's rejecting his entire model of conditional love. What happens when a child outgrows the version of family she was raised in? What does it look like when silence becomes survival? Stay with me, because we're about to unpack Maddie's emotional exit from her father's life, what it means for the Brown family legacy, and why her quiet resistance may be the most powerful break we've seen yet. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Give this episode a thumbs up and let me know in the comments, do you think Maddie made the right call? Or did the patriarch finally lose the last person willing to give him a chance? From the outside, Maddie Brown always seemed like the peacemaker, the grounded daughter, the one who wasn't caught up in the chaos of Flagstaff, the fights, the favoritism. She moved away, built a life with Caleb, and gave fans the impression she'd risen above the mess. But the truth? The fracture was already there, and it wasn't loud, it wasn't explosive, it was slow, quiet, measured, and that's what makes it so devastating. While the cameras focused on Cody's unraveling marriages, something else was breaking, something deeper, the bond between father and daughter. And Maddie, once so careful to stay neutral, has now made it crystal clear. She is done protecting his image. In season 19, fans noticed something subtle but shocking. Maddie, in her brief appearances, referred to Cody not as dad, but as Cody. It was barely commented on in the moment, but longtime viewers caught it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Because when a child stops using a parental title, that's not a slip of the tongue, that's a wound. After Garrison's death, when the family needed a father figure the most, Maddie's silence spoke volumes. She didn't offer comfort on Cody's behalf. She didn't bridge the gap. And according to insiders and fan speculation, she may have even blocked him from access to her own children. Because for Maddie, this isn't just about what Cody did to her. It's about what she won't allow him to do to her kids. The fracture we didn't see coming wasn't sudden. It was years in the making, rooted in favoritism, absenteeism, and the devastating way Cody pulled away from Janelle and her children when Robin became the center of his world. Maddie watched her mother cry behind closed doors. She saw the betrayal, the emotional abandonment, the hypocrisy, and now she's refusing to let history repeat itself. Because sometimes the real break doesn't come with screaming. It comes with a name no longer used, a door quietly closed, and a woman choosing her peace over her past. With one Instagram story, Maddie Brown shattered any remaining illusion of unity in the Brown family, and she did it with grace, clarity, and a mother's resolve. The post wasn't long, it wasn't flashy, but it was surgical. "If you can't respect me, you don't get access to me or my children," she wrote. "You don't get to play family when it's convenient and treat me like garbage the rest of the time." She never said Cody. She didn't have to. Every fan, every sibling, every person who has ever watched Sister Wives knew exactly who that was for. And for the first time, the quiet daughter, so often in the background, became the voice of emotional truth for an entire generation of Brown children. This wasn't Maddie lashing out. This was Maddie declaring her boundaries. And let's be clear, this wasn't about a single moment or disagreement. This was a reckoning, a culmination of years spent watching her mother be belittled, her brothers be pushed aside, and her father drift further and further into a life that left half his children behind. In that post, Maddie went further, saying she refused to let her children witness abuse masquerading as love. She talked about protecting their peace, guarding their innocence, and never allowing them to think that disrespect is something to be tolerated just because someone shares your DNA. And fans were shook. Because the truth is, we've watched Cody spiral on national television. We've seen his rage, his favoritism, his inability to show up for the kids who weren't connected to Robin. But Maddie? She gave it language. She gave it boundaries. And with that post, she said what so many daughters of distant fathers have always wanted to say. You don't get to show up only when it benefits you. You don't get to skip the hard parts and expect the rewards of fatherhood. It was a message that echoed across the fandom. Not bitter, not petty, just a mother's promise. She will not pass down what she was forced to endure. And Cody Brown, once the man who claimed to have all the answers, isn't just losing wives anymore. He's losing legacy. For years, family in the Brown household meant something bigger than blood. It meant plural marriage, shared homes, unity through religion. That was Cody's vision, a sprawling clan held together by his authority and God's will. But for Maddie, that definition has been rewritten. Because when your childhood is shaped by favoritism, when you watch your mother get emotionally sidelined, when you see your father light up for one set of kids and go silent for the others, you learn that titles mean nothing without love to back them up. And Maddie learned that lesson the hard way. Her home now? It's not about doctrine. It's not about performance. It's not about who shows up on Sunday for a camera-ready dinner. It's about presence. Maddie shows up for her children's dance recitals, for bedtime stories, for scraped knees and whispered fears. She doesn't need a man with a title to tell her what family is, because she's living it. And more than that, she's defining it. She's not raising her kids to tolerate emotional neglect disguised as fatherly love. She's not teaching them to call someone grandpa just because he shows up twice a year with a forced smile and a camera crew. In her words, my children's peace is sacred, and she's the one standing guard. And make no mistake, this isn't about bitterness, it's about healing. It's about breaking generational patterns. And it's about understanding that love is more than words on a birthday card or a half-hearted phone call. It's showing up, being present, listening when no one else is watching. Maddie has taken the pain of her upbringing and turned it into fuel for something better. And she's not alone. Janelle is building her dream homestead in North Carolina, not because she ran away, but because she chose herself. Christine found love again outside the shadows of patriarchy. And even Mary, often the most isolated, is finally speaking without fear. They've all started rewriting the script. But Maddie, she's writing a whole new book. In her world, family isn't defined by who shares your last name. It's defined by who earns your trust, who protects your peace, and who teaches your children what real love looks like. And that's something Cody Brown, for all his talk of unity and leadership, no longer represents. So as he clings to what's left of his image on national TV, Maddie has already moved on. She didn't just leave the family structure, she outgrew it. Sometimes the most devastating rupture isn't screamed, it's spoken softly, with one word. And in Maddie's case, that word was Cody. Not dad, not father, not even my dad. Just Cody. For longtime fans, it was a gut punch. Because in a family that once prided itself on closeness, on mutual respect, on that sacred title of dad, hearing a daughter drop it entirely was more than a slip of the tongue. It was a signal, a very intentional one. You see, Maddie has always been thoughtful. She doesn't stir the pot. She doesn't take to Instagram to throw wild accusations. She's calm, measured, almost surgical in her emotional distance. So when she started referring to Cody Brown by his first name in public appearances, season 19 included, viewers noticed, and they knew. It was the final blow in a relationship that had already been dying in silence. For years, Cody has been present in name only, missing birthdays, skipping milestones, and fading from view just when his children needed him most. When Garrison died, many hoped that tragedy might mend some of the broken bonds in the Brown family. But if anything, it revealed the cracks that had been there all along. And Maddie? She didn't react with chaos or confrontation. She responded with clarity. By calling him Cody, she stripped away the illusion. She removed the title that no longer fit. Because being a father is not about biology. It's about showing up. It's about connection. It's about consistency. And that's something Cody Brown hasn't given her in a very long time. Fans across social media erupted. Some defended Maddie's right to set boundaries. Others mourned the symbolism of a daughter who no longer feels safe enough to call her father Dad. But one thing was clear. This wasn't petty. This wasn't performative. This was protective. This was a woman, a mother, making a very public, very intentional choice. This was a woman, a mother, making a very public, very intentional choice. If you don't act like a father, you don't get to be called one. And for Cody, who once built his entire life and identity around fatherhood, this is more than just estrangement. It's erasure. Because in Maddie's world now, Dad is a sacred title. And Kody Brown, he gave that title up the moment he stopped earning it. It's the word Kody Brown used to throw around with conviction. A legacy of unity, faith, and family. Of fathering a tribe that would grow strong under his vision. But today, that legacy is slipping through his fingers. And he doesn't even seem to notice. Because the truth is, the next generation, the grandchildren, barely know him. And that's not an exaggeration. According to Maddie, this man who once called himself the patriarch hasn't been showing up. Not for birthday parties, not for baby milestones, not even for a quick visit to see his grandkids. The same man who once prided himself on being a present, invested father now feels like a ghost in the lives of the children of his children. And Maddie has made her boundaries clear. Access isn't a given. It's earned. And if you can't show basic respect to her as a mother, then you don't get the privilege of knowing her children. It's a generational shift. And it's heartbreaking, because this isn't just about Maddie and Cody. This is about what happens when a patriarch forgets his purpose and watches as the roots he planted begin to reject the soil he gave them. Younger Brown grandchildren are growing up without the pops figure Cody probably imagined he'd be. They're being raised by women like Maddie, strong, present, and unshakably protective. And they are being shielded from emotional chaos in ways Cody's older kids never were. This is how cycles break. And it's how legacies, once assumed to be unshakable, fade quietly into irrelevance. Because legacy isn't what you say on a tell-all couch. It's what your grandchildren know of you when there are no cameras rolling. And when they ask, "Who's Cody?" and not, "Where's Grandpa?" You've already lost. Janelle sees it. Christine sees it. Even Mary, who stood by longer than most, has stopped pretending. And Maddie? Maddie is raising the next generation with the clarity her father never had. She's showing them that love doesn't require a title, that family isn't about appearances, and that being a grandparent isn't an entitlement. It's a role you earn by showing up with your heart open and your ego left at the door. But Cody Brown? He missed that memo. And now his legacy lives on. Not through stories of his greatness, but through silence, through absence, through a name spoken without affection. Because when the next generation forgets your face, your legacy doesn't just fade, it vanishes. So let's go back to where we started. What does it really mean? When a daughter stops calling you dad, it means something's broken. Not in anger, not in rebellion, but in trust, in heart. For Maddie Brown, saying Cody instead of dad was a quiet earthquake, one that shook the very foundation of what fatherhood is supposed to represent. It wasn't a headline-grabbing outburst. It was the final note in a song that's been playing off-key for years. Because sometimes silence isn't peace, it's protection. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do for your children is build a boundary. Now I want to hear from you. If you were Maddie, if the man who once held the title of dad became emotionally unavailable, distant, dismissive, what would you do? Would you draw the same line? Have you had to walk away from a parent for the sake of your own healing? Let's talk about it in the comments, because your stories matter too. And if this episode hit home, don't forget to subscribe to TLC's Sister Wives News. I'm Helena, and I'll be here every week breaking down the drama, the heartbreak, and the healing of the Brown family saga. Thank you for being part of this community, and until next time, take care of yourselves. And remember, titles mean nothing if the love behind them disappears. Stay tuned. More truths are coming.